Hey guys, OriginalRyou here, and the battery was running low, so I actually took that one out, put a new one in, put the first one in the charger, and we are back with part 3 and of the Big Brother review and opinion show for episode 2. We just discussed Rachel's nominations, Brittany's and Monet's reactions, which were incredibly negative to the point they kept insulting Rachel, talking about how they hated certain house guests like Kristen, Rachel, Brendan, and all that. And now we're getting to the point where Brittany won the veto and Rachel has to choose the new nominee, which changes up the game a lot, despite the fact Monet pretty much had her fate sealed. So we were talking about people volunteering themselves. Well, first let's go with the obvious choices that Rachel had in mind. I mean, Andrew has been on the outs, and Rachel really wanted to put Andrew up. But Brendan felt Andrew was a very solid ally and a solid vote, somebody who wouldn't put them up. So he thought there was a critical flaw to the plan, and he didn't want Andrew to go up. Instead, he actually agreed with Matt's wanting to be put up as a pawn for the greater good and all that. He came up to the HOH room to talk to the both of them, and actually with Reagan, and he actually volunteered himself to go up on the block as a replacement nominee. And he's doing this not only to solidify his trust with Brendan and Rachel, but also his alliance. And he and Reagan are pretty close, so he's really trying to play the social game to the fullest. And he's putting a huge risk on himself by volunteering himself. Reagan was like, no! And Rachel was all suspicious, because why would you volunteer yourself to be put up as a pawn? Especially this early in the game, because Big Brother has been known for pawns early in the game going home and being blindsided, backdoored, so it didn't add up. But Brendan was all for the idea because he felt that they could trust Matt to a degree. Now, I also want to mention, earlier in the episode, Matt was actually playing this whole lie about his wife having some sort of bone disease and all that, and he was playing it off to the rest of the house to get sympathy. And people like Reagan and all that felt like he was not just here playing for himself, but playing for his wife. And that created a lot of sympathy and a lot of like from Matt, which is a very good strategy, if not for the fact Andrew is actually a doctor, and he found it suspicious that Matt would bring up that disease when he's never heard of it before. So Andrew is suspicious of Matt, obviously. So in that episode, Andrew and Matt were potentials to go up on the chopping block, and Rachel, despite her distrust in Matt and would much rather put Andrew up because it's a win-win, she ends up putting Matt anyways and submitting to his word, which he asked her to say that he's only being used as a pawn at the veto meeting. And she ends up saying that he's just a pawn for the veto meeting right in front of everybody. And Monet is like, she's probably screaming in her head, and she admits that she'd punch Rachel in the face if she could. What is with this? I mean, first Shima in Big Brother 10 and now Monet. I mean, Monet is more bearable than Shima, less dramatic than Shima. At least she keeps it to herself. But she has all of this, like, she cries over everything a lot with Brittany. She talks smack a lot in the diary room. I don't know, at least she's a bit more bearable than Shima. So Matt and Monet are up on the chopping block, and things would seem solid because Matt wouldn't likely go home because he's a very likable guy by everybody. And I also want to make a little interesting note, that in the past few seasons, the person who has been nominated in the second week tends to win Big Brother the most often. Now, let me bring this up here. I might be off camera. Hold on. There you go. If you remember Big Brother 11, Jordan was nominated in week 2 along with Laura. Jordan survived. She went on to win the game. Big Brother 10, Dan was put up in week 2 along with Steven, and Dan eventually won the game. Dick was nominated in week 2 in Big Brother 8 against Joe, and Dick ended up winning the game. I'm actually looking up Big Brother 9 now to see if Adam was nominated in week 2. Let's see. Oh. No, they weren't. He was nominated in week 3. Oh well, there are some flaws to my theory, but come on, 3 seasons where the person nominated in week 2 ended up winning the game. That's pretty interesting, actually, because I don't know if it's a trend or not, but maybe Matt will win Big Brother. I mean, he's playing the social game really well, and the social game can end up being more important than like the strategic game, as demonstrated with like Russell Hans from Survivor. 6 minutes, good. Russell is like, forget the jury, forget like playing for the jury and making sure that I have their votes. I just play as hard as I can, play a very strategic game, and what happens? He comes up short. Now, I'm not trying to get on the bad side of Russell fans, but because I do agree that he probably should have won Survivor Samoa. Heroes versus villains, he just shot himself in the foot because of many flawed moves. Like, do you really think after everything you said to Danielle that Danielle would give you your vote? Do you think that after betraying JT would give you your vote? Do you really think that Coach would give you your vote? That Rupert would give you your vote? That Jerry would give you your vote after blindsiding her? I mean, in Samoa, I guess I could see the unfairness in Russell not winning because he didn't do anything exceptionally bad, but in Heroes vs. Villains, he just shot himself repeatedly in the foot with a handgun and basically screwed himself from winning the $500,000. He didn't get a vote. So back to Big Brother 12, the social game is extremely important, sometimes more important than the strategic game, as demonstrated by like Jordan or other people. I'll admit it, I haven't watched Big Brother 7 and below, really. I really only watched 8, 9, 10, 11, and now 12. I kind of got into Big Brother and reality competitions late in the game, but yeah, social game's important, and Matt is playing it good, and he's playing it smart, and he's playing it strategically, so Matt has a good chance of winning the game. So, back to the eviction episode. Despite Monet's weak attempts at getting votes and all that, she only got 2, which is from Brittany, and shockingly, Kathy. And I don't remember when Kathy started to get in good with Brittany and Monet, nor if I know if it's obvious between the other house guests that Kathy has been getting good with them. I thought Kathy's vote was either incredibly random or a manipulative ploy to try to throw the guilt and blame on another house guest for trying to vote Matt out, which could end up working in her favor. So I didn't get Kathy's vote, but either way, Monet went home by a vote of 7-2, which I was very happy for. And then the third HOH competition went underway, and it's an endurance style competition. Water's pouring down on you occasionally, and you're on a surfboard that goes in and out, and basically the last person who stays on there gets HOH. But do I have enough time? Yeah. But the first 5 people to drop are halves, and the rest are have-nots, except for obviously the HOH probably. So very intense. I'm wondering who's going to win. If I had money to bet on it, I would say like Matt would probably win, or Enzo, or Brendan. So because Brendan's like a high school swim coach, I think. So, or is he just a coach in general? But either way, I think it's one of those 3 who are going to win, or Brittany, just to prove that karma really is a bitch. So this is essentially all I have to say, and sorry if it's rushed and all that. I've held off the episodes for long enough, so it is a bit rushed. I hope you enjoyed it as much as the first episode. I'm pretty surprised by some things, such as Kathy's vote and Brittany winning the veto, which I did not expect, and Matt volunteering himself to be a pawn. I really like Matt now, and I really want either like Matt or Kristen or Kathy to win. That's just me right now. Matt, Kristen, or Kathy. And anybody else? Okay, I admit maybe Brendan, because he is a really smart player and I really do like Brendan. So those 4 people I'm rooting for: Kristen, Matt, Kathy, and Brendan. And maybe Reagan too, because Reagan is pretty cool. So that's essentially half the house that I'm rooting for. So this is OriginalRyou. I hope you enjoyed episode 2. Episode 3 will be on Thursday, at least Thursday or Friday next week, after the 3rd eviction and 4th HOH crowning. And I will see you guys very soon.